dealing with and what word is a trigger for them.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Like bipolar, you know, like growing up, we used to just say, you know, like, oh, you so bipolar, like Raven was just saying, like, you know, that's true. Like, people just used to say it.
Yeah, I just think it's because we're so ignorant. You
know, so
ignorant.
Stuff like that.
So
ignorant to the different mental health disorders that's out there, and that people actually deal with these.
But you know, it's kind of like, it kind of segues into what we was talking about too, about how, yes, those are mental things that people, a lot of people, millions of people deal with. But for those that you do have those people that just be faking it, like, oh, I'm bipolar, or I got schizophrenia, or I got this.
I just like fake depressed. It's like,
why?
Because I think it became a trend at one point for people to be depressed.
Yeah.
It's like, how is that a trend? Like
everybody
want to be your friend. Like, everybody want to be depressed. Everybody want to have anxiety. Everybody want to have something that's wrong with them. And it's like,
but why? Like,
why do you gotta have that? Like, it's some things you just shouldn't want to have. And it's just
an attention seeking.
Yeah, it's attention. It's want attention.
But can that be a mental disorder too?
Yeah, I mean, technically speaking, it is.
Technically speaking, it's what, like.
But then again, sometimes just people just want attention because they just want attention. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a mental thing. Sometimes you just never know. People just want attention because of it. You know, I don't like the fact that when people do lie about those certain things, they drag other people into it. And then they go along with it. Like, oh, I'm so depressed. And then you give them options and feedback and advice to how to get out of that depression. And they don't want to take it and give you every excuse in the world. But baby, you weren't depressed. You just wanted some dick. And I said what I said.
And you did.
So have you, well, I don't know. Have you ever got prescribed antidepressants? Because I have.
No. I'm like I said, I'm very much so against taking any kind of medication. Yeah. If it's not for, like, if you have extreme bipolar or you are dealing with, like, split personality or schizophrenia, where those medicines do kind of control those outbursts, then I understand it. But if you're just going through some things, I'm not going to take the medicine because
there's no point. You don't want to do that to yourself.
Correct. It just pauses what you feel.
Right. All the people I know that are on antidepressants, they're zombies. So I think there's a misconception that people think like it's a happy pill, like it's going to be happy. It's not. It's really just going to, like,
it decreases everything.
It's almost like a tranquilizer.
It decreases your wantingness to do anything.
Yeah.
It just makes you want to stay in bed all day.
And
I'm not.
It's a selective serotonin uptake inhibitor. So basically the dopamine effect that we get, like the reward system, people who are depressed, they don't have that. So it kind of basically changes the wiring there, where you're not going to be fucking happy. You're still just going to be like just empty, like not there, just like soulless. It's crazy.
And I think every time I went through something where I've been in that place of, like, you know, kind of depressive state, it was really just working through my emotions, understanding my emotions, understanding why I feel that way, and finding ways to cope. And that's what's helped me in every situation that I've ever felt not myself in.
Yeah.
Like plenty of times.
I don't know. I think that my fear about some of those drugs is that, because I'm the person that watches, you know, medicine shit on YouTube at 3:00 in the morning just because, is that it can sometimes, you never know how those medicines can affect your body. You know, for most people, they may make you lethargic or lazy, and you don't, you know, they make you a zombie, but it can also activate something that was sleeping in you a very long time.
That's true.
So, and I've seen plenty times where people take certain pills for certain things. Like, I just watched a guy who took, a pill for, like, his rash or something, and it activated GBS syndrome.
Oh my God.
And he couldn't walk for months and had to learn how to walk again and talk again and almost died twice. So it's like, you just never know the things you pump. I see
why your pastor was taking Tylenol. Like,
right.
I just don't
right. Stick with what you know. Because you never know. That's even with, like, what I was telling you guys about prep for me, about how I'm taking Truvada, I believe. And I'm telling you, like, it hasn't activated anything in me, but when I take it, it makes me feel horrible. Like, I don't feel good. I don't feel myself. Like, I feel out of it. I feel dizzy at times, and I just don't feel in good overall health.
You know, when the commercials come on about these medicines,
the people be happy as fuck,
Yeah.
fucking
so,
raw.
they run through the side effects.
Can y'all Dan Newley me? I want my sign to say Dan Newley got me 560,000, bitch.
Did you take Truvada in 2020?
Right.
You are entitled to.
You are entitled to.
We're gonna give it 10 years. I know what's also gonna pop up is if you ate a Popeye sandwich in 2020,
Bitch.
because there's something in that shit.
But
Crack.
but no, like I'm definitely against taking medicine that isn't proven to really help with something.
It's not proven because everybody's different. Everybody's gonna digest it differently, mentally for that matter. But I got prescribed Celexa. It's an antidepressant, like I said, serotonin uptake inhibitor. I think it was at Orlando Health. So, you know, once you have your therapist, basically they can't write you prescriptions. So anything clinical or medicine wise, you go to the psychiatrist. And basically the psychiatrist asked me, had I ever had any suicidal thoughts? You know, like maybe what am I being affected by? And he said, okay, well, I'm going to write you a prescription for this, and we're going to, you know, gradually go put you into it. However, when you want to stop taking it, you can't just stop taking it. I'm like, okay, well, is this heroin? Because your body develops a dependency to it, and mentally you take that, you stop taking that shit, you might go haywire.
So you go into like withdrawals.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
So I was like, gradually, he was like, we have to wean you off of it. I was like, I'm good, sir.
Do y'all think that they prescribe, especially black people, do y'all think they prescribe us medicines such as ADHD or things like that, or bipolar disorder, just really quickly? Because it does those things to us.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm that type of person. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but I just think they always looking for a quick fix for something. Especially when you get diagnosed with ADHD and stuff, it's usually in childhood. And people, if you have parents that just really don't, you know, they're just like, oh, this child's just too much. She needs something. And then they giving you these kids, like just like the people who put their kids on melatonin.
It be the pill face.
Like a dog.
Like I said, like a dog.
Who put their kids on melatonin and go to sleep? It's like that.
No, that's different. Because kids is bad as fuck.
Yeah, she only saying that because she be drinking up.
No, kids is bad as fuck.
My thing is this. Mama had 3 of us.
I'm gonna give you some Benadryl or something.
We weren't always the best children.
That's not good for their level.
We were not always the best children, and we would be up all times of the night. But you know, the only melatonin I got was a belt, and that did the job. I bet y'all was asleep then.
Okay,
right.
I see what you're saying there.
So like, you don't not like. Every night you gotta put you already giving your child a dependency to sleep.
That's true.
Some people say like their kids come in, you know, oh, is it time for gummy time? So they can get the gummy. Like at this point, you raising crackheads.
You remember the crackhead?
I'm just saying, like, don't always be so quick.
If little Johnny, I'm almost saying.
If little Johnny had 3 melatonins, what time he gonna wake up?
Right, I cannot. I'm just not with that. Like, y'all pushing these antidepressants. Just continue with narrative therapy. Like, you don't have to like medically take anything unless it's that bad, it's that detrimental, you are actually having suicidal thoughts. You could get Baker acted if you need to, just to have that time.
But apparently that's only a Florida thing.
Well, Baker acted, but being held.
Okay, it's called something different in different states.
72 hour hold.
Is a mental specialist from the 40s. I want to say her name was Baker something. So she coined the term.
Baker acted.
Right.
But she lived in Florida.
But she did a lot for mental institutions.
And usually when they've been people that does a lot for mental institutions back in those day and times, they weren't the best people.
Especially if we talking about
I
mass
watch
hysteria
Ratchet
and stuff like that. Oh my god, I love that.
Like Ratchet, like the shit crazy. Like,
they were did you see the lobotomies that they did? Like, that was real.
Like when you're not talking about when he would he found a way to stick like the thing in somebody's eye and then it made them lobe.
And that was real. That was legit. That did happen.
So what did it? I know it made
did
them
nothing. Like, I read up on it. All the side effects that people got afterwards were leading up to death. Like, basically, they couldn't walk or talk the same. There was
So it messed with something with the frontal lobe.
People went blind.
They broke the bone in your eye, though, right?
They basically shaped around it.
That's so crazy. But it made them like zombies. Well, in Ratchet it is.
Yeah, I just think it's
almost vegetables.
It's a lot of it's mental health institutions that just saying
Yeah.
aren't particularly the best. And then sometimes these people, like, they get sent to these institutions, and then the family doesn't really want anything else to do because they're scared.
Right.
People stuck. I got a cousin that's stuck in the mental health.
She can't get out.
Nobody wants to. He can leave if
somebody come get him.
Somebody like takes guardianship.
Well, what's wrong with him?
I don't know for sure, so I don't want to assume or say, but I think it's schizophrenic.
Okay. Yeah, Dante had an uncle, Albie, like that, but he was more calmer.
And not to mention, like, a lot of those things too, it happens after, like, they are triggered by certain situations. Like, for my cousin, it was really after his mom passed, and like a few years later, right after that, my great grandmother, which was his grandmother, she passed, and so everybody that he was close with
was just dying.
Yeah, and it was then when it snapped for him, and then he got put in the institution, and nobody really, he can be released, but he has to be released under supervision. And nobody wants that responsibility, which I can't blame. Right. But at the same time, it kind of sucks because you got family out here, you got people here that you thought you could have depended on, but
you just can't. You just can't. Nobody wants to take that responsibility.
I just had a friend who recently, their mother was diagnosed with it, and that's like a lot to bear as an adult. And I think people always think, your parents brought you up, so once you get into the age where you're going to have to start taking care of them, that's a lot to bear.
That is a lot to bear.
God. Like, it's so bad. And I think I've kind of been around it to a sense. But basically the grandeur disorder, where they're thinking people are out to get them, they're thinking, people are watching them, or they're having hallucinations or delusions, and it's difficult to deal with because you have to just really be calm with them. Yeah. You know
right, you can't just kind of like go off. I always think about how we were just talking about, dang, that liquor just hit me.
The liquor.
Yeah, the champagne just hit me like.
It's been an hour and 30 minutes.
Okay.
And I drunk it fast.
The little ass mimosa.
Okay, everybody can't be drunk like you said. Speaking of mental health.
First of all, my drinking habits stemmed from depression.
Oh my God. Here she go.
It did. When I was drinking a lot last year, it's because I got booted from the Navy because I had hurt myself, and I just didn't know what direction I was going in with my life. I really did not.
I thought you did that on purpose. That's what I heard. Listen, Navy Federal, if y'all listening, we gonna talk about that on the side.
If y'all go back,
because little Bernie over here said that shit was
when we were talking about toxic relationships. It's
oh these two motherfuckers. We're talking about it. I would speaking of birds.
Two motherfuckers for me.
The birds, bitch. I would never forget you with that letter talking about you see the bird and
little Bernie over here was saying that shit was hilarious.
First of all, I was very depressed when I was in the Navy. I was in the Navy boot camp at that. I was very depressed, and they have no walls.
Right.
And when you
was out with no walls.
They have no wall. Like, I mean, they have walls, but it's like no windows.
Funny.
It's no.
No, I'm dead ass.
I have no walls. I said it's no walls.
Shut your drunk ass up.
But anyway, like, you're literally placed. You go from having all this freedom to having no freedom at all, and it is like, I can understand what people who go to prison like. The thing that was crazy for me is because this shit was optional. Like, bitch, you ain't forced to be.
Right.
It wasn't no draft.
So there's no windows, and then it's just the fact of not being able. I do have like separation anxiety a little bit.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you can't even just pick up the phone and call
somebody.
And then the first time I saw a window and we saw a fucking bird, I literally cried. Because I was like,
I mean, for that letter, girl, I was crying laughing.
Like, it's outside. Like,
Oh my
It
god.
was literally.
So y'all was inside the whole time?
For the most part, I mean,